Okay, let's get into the mood of teaching scriptures. I'll be a little fast, probably a little more intense. So let's begin with the mood of speaking Shastra. So by teaching, I am also including preaching. Don't see teaching and preaching as different, at least in this seminar. Okay, presenting Shastra, presenting your understanding. So preaching is also included in it. Teaching is also included in it. Many times we think that teaching means teaching in Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. Preaching means making more devotees. I'm just clubbing both. Okay, that's what teaching is. So speaking the Shastra is an expression of love for the Lord and being an instrument of His compassion. These two things must be there in our mind. Okay. So when we are presenting Shastra, it's not that we are exhibiting our scholarship. We are trying to express how much love we have for the Lord. It's an expression of our love for the Lord. Secondly, we are trying to act as an instrument of Krishna's compassion. Krishna is extremely compassionate on all the conditioned souls and He wants to reclaim them. He wants to take them back into His loving company. And when we are trying to speak Shastra to others, we are trying to bring people closer to Krishna. Means we are acting as instruments of Krishna's compassion. Compassion doesn't come from us. We act as instruments of compassion. Compassion is originating from Krishna. We are not originators of compassion. We are carriers of compassion. We are transmitters of compassion. We are instruments of compassion. Right? That's what a teacher or a preacher should identify oneself with. Krishna wants all of us to develop Krishna Prema. And if I can facilitate or assist some devotees to develop their Krishna Prema even slightly, that's my great fortune. That's what a speaker is supposed to think. That's what a teacher of Shastra or a preacher of Shastra is supposed to think. Okay? So with this I will begin. One day in our temple, iskconchowpatty, 2009, 9 or 8? 8 I joined BTA. 2009 I joined BT, Brahmachari Ashram, as a trainee. So I used to go to the Sharanagati library. There's a library, the name is Sharanagati. You have to take Sharan of sound vibration of Krishna. That's how the library is named. So when I went there, I found this painting. I was thinking, what is this painting here? You saw the painting? What's there in the painting? Balramji is killing Romaharshan Sutta with a blade of grass. Okay. So I was just wondering, so many paintings are there, Radharani's paintings, Krishna's paintings, Yashoda Mata, Krishna's Vrajalila, many other avatars are there, Vishnu. Why this particular painting is kept in library specifically? Okay. Later I figured out the reason. So here is Romaharshan Sutta. He was sitting on high Vyasasana and he is speaking some Shastras to so many Brahmanas, his students. And suddenly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Balaramji, entered there. All the sages got up from their seats, offered respects to Balaram, and received Balaramji with great reverence. But this Romaharshan Sutta did not get up to receive Balaramji, to offer obeisances to Balaramji. He was sitting there continuing. Then Balaramji understood, this person has a lot of knowledge of scriptures, but he does not have the humility to honor Vaishnavas. Honor the Supreme Lord. When you are giving a class, many devotees may come and then sit there. You may not get up to receive every single devotee. Otherwise, you won't be able to complete the class only. Okay. But when Balaramji comes there, you can't apply that logic. You have to stop the class, go and receive him and offer Dandavat there. Right? Depending on who is arriving there. Right? So we need to understand that scriptural study and an opportunity or privilege to teach scriptures should not increase our pride but increase our humility. Okay? So let's recite this sloka. Risher Bhagavato Bhutva Sishyadhitya Bahunicha Setihasa Puranani Dharmashastrani Sarvashah Adantasya Vinitasya Vritha Panditamaninaha nagunaya bhavanti sma natasyevajitatmanaha Rishir Bhagavato Bhutva Sishyo Adhitya Bahunicha. So this Rishi, our Romaharshan Sutta, he has studied all the scriptures, is well versed in all the finer nuances of scriptural philosophy and is presenting it. So Itihasas and Puranas, he studied all of them. Dharma Shastras also he studied. But Adantasya Abhinitasya. Although he is equipped with the wisdom of the Shastras, he has no self-control. He has no humility. Okay? So, Vritha Pandita Maninaha, he is considering himself a great Pandit, a great scholar. Vritha, uselessly. Considering oneself a great Pandit is useless. Right? Yesterday we were discussing, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke about knowledge. What is Jnana? In 13th chapter. You remember the 13th chapter of Gita, Arjuna asked 6 questions. What are they? Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Jneyam, Prakriti, Purusha, right? So when Krishna is describing about Jnanam, he said there are multiple aspects of Jnanam. The first and foremost aspect of Jnanam, knowledge, is humility. Amanittam, adambhittam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. So that humility is the first aspect of knowledge. We were discussing yesterday. Someone is knowledgeable means he is humble. If someone is arrogant, his knowledge is not knowledge, it is ignorance. Arrogance basically is ignorance. So if one has real knowledge about Shastra, knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about devotional service, that should induce humility in a person. Oh, Krishna is so great, I am so insignificant. This is the first knowledge. Right? The first aspect of knowledge is to realize your insignificance in the presence of Krishna and to respect every living being as a part and parcel of Krishna, as a child of God, and respect them for their connection with God. If you ignore people's connection with the Supreme Lord, and if you are arrogant of your own material skills, then where is knowledge? It's not knowledge. Right? So Vinaya with Jnana becomes Vijnana. Ahankara with Jnana becomes Ajnana. Right? So this person has so much knowledge, Romaharshan Sutta, but he did not have the modesty, humility, respectful attitude even towards Balram. And the people whom he is teaching to, all his students, they are more cultured than him. They had more etiquettes than him. They had the etiquette to get up and offer respects to Balramji when he came, but he did not have the etiquette. What's the point of he being the teacher? Teacher is supposed to be more humble and he is supposed to teach humility to the students, and the students are humble and the teacher is arrogant. That's the point here. So our ability to teach Shastra should not induce arrogance in us. That's the first teaching. This is the mood of teaching Shastra. Whether we are preaching or speaking or teaching or outreach activities, all this must be done in this mood. Okay. So now, Swadhyaya, when it is associated with etiquette and culture of respect, that will lead to great realization. In fact, scriptural knowledge that contains traces of pride and disrespectful attitude hampers spiritual progress. When we develop so much of Shastric knowledge and when we become eloquent speakers of Shastra, that eloquence and that knowledge and that experience and that skill itself will become a stumbling block in our spiritual progress. Right? All this knowledge and ability to speak and ability to glorify Krishna so nicely should bring us closer to Krishna. But if we have arrogance, that knowledge and that eloquence will take us away from Krishna. Okay? So therefore, a teacher of Shastra should have this foremost quality of humility. One may have studied the scriptures thoroughly, memorized hundreds of slokas from the Shastras, and can mesmerize thousands of audiences. But if even there is a tinge of pride and envy in the heart, he has not understood a single syllable of what he is studying and teaching. So, pride and envy. Yesterday also we were discussing about pride and envy. So, when a speaker of Shastra is proud, then he doesn't value the audience. Let's learn lessons from all the speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam within Srimad Bhagavatam. They are setting the right mood of what should be the mood of a teacher of Shastra? Who all are the speakers? Sukadeva Goswami spoke Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami spoke Bhagavatam, Maitreya Muni spoke Bhagavatam, Krishna spoke definitely to Uddhava, Narada Muni spoke, then many such great speakers of Bhagavatam spoke Bhagavatam within the Bhagavatam book itself, and let's see what is their mood and how are they connecting with the audience, how are they treating the students. Let's see. So Shastric study is not meant to make one an eloquent speaker or a scholar. If you become scholar, that's great. If you become an eloquent speaker, that's also great, right? No problem with that. But not with arrogance. It's meant for cultivating good character and having sound, respectful, cordial, loving friendships and dealings with devotees, and ultimately to please Krishna. Now, how to identify a good scriptural teacher, good teacher of Shastra? So let's discuss 15 qualities of a good teacher. Yesterday we discussed 10, right? 10 points about good student of Shastra. Now, who is a good teacher of Shastra? Let's see 15 qualities. Each quality we are going to discuss now. First, it's a language of heart. Second, eagerness. 3, compassion. 4, transparent transmission. We'll discuss all of them one by one. There is one slide on each. First quality. Language of heart means love. So, when we are speaking, it's not just English or Sanskrit or Hindi or Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam. It's not the language. That's the medium through which we are communicating the scriptural messages to some audience. But it's basically the language of heart. When we are speaking from heart, the message touches the hearts of people. When we are speaking with our intelligence, that will appeal to the intelligence. When we are speaking from our mouth, that will appeal to the ears. When we have good voice, naturally people's ears are impressed. When we have good logic, sound logic, people's intelligence will be impressed. When we speak from heart, that will touch the hearts of people. Have you ever heard of a sound which is very pleasant to the ears, no impact on the heart? Have you heard something which is very logically appealing, but it did not churn some emotions in your heart, right? It happens, right? But ideal speaking of Shastra is supposed to be done with the heart. It takes some time to come to that stage, but I'm speaking about ideals, right? So, when we genuinely have some loving appreciation for Krishna's qualities, Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, when we are speaking, all that appreciation that we have for Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela will come through our mouth. And people will understand, my God, this person loves Krishna. And the way he is praising Krishna is reflecting his love. And that will impact their hearts and that will inspire them to love Krishna. Although you may not construct great grammatical sentences, you may not have great vocabulary, you may not be very charismatic and eloquent speaker, still, if you love Krishna and if you are expressing your love when you are speaking about Krishna, that will naturally touch the hearts of people, right? So that's the first qualification. Let me give an example. All the gopis of Vrindavan, sometimes they become little irritated, agitated, bothered by Krishna's mischievous activities. Krishna would go to the gopis' houses and he would steal butter from there, he will break their pots, he will pinch their babies, he will throw dirt on their beautifully decorated walls. They just apply some cow dung and clay on the walls and put some rangolis there. They decorate the walls so nicely and Krishna will take some dirt and throw on it when they're wet, not when they're dry. Okay, so these are Krishna's activities. They will clean their houses, Krishna will pass urine and stool there. Okay, transcendentally. This is how Krishna does so many mischievous activities. And he steals butter, and butter is not available. He will say, wait there, tomorrow I will come with burning coal and throw it on your house and burn every one of you alive if I don't find butter in your home. Right? That's what Krishna says. And then Krishna feeds butter, so much butter to the monkeys, and monkeys also become so full that they are unable to take. Krishna says, the butter in your house is so third class that even monkeys don't eat it. Right? So this is how Krishna is doing so many mischievous activities in Vrindavan. And the gossip in Vrindavan is Krishna Katha. Right? Even a private conversation between between two gopis or two gopas is Krishna's enchanting activities. So all the gopis one day they felt that Krishna is stealing butter from our houses, he is doing so much mischief in our houses, and Mother Yashoda is deprived of this opportunity to see Krishna's naughty stealing activities. Because Krishna naturally doesn't steal in his own home. Poor gopis, they don't understand. Krishna can steal in Yashoda's house also. They don't understand that. But they wanted to come and narrate all the stealing activities of Krishna to Mother Yashoda. They came with that intent. But they are glorifying Krishna's stealing activities in the form of complaints. Right? They are speaking in an angry tone. But that anger is also love. Their expression of love. And Mother Yashoda is hearing all these beautiful descriptions of the gopis tinged with their so-called anger. And she is getting a better experience of Krishna's stealing pastimes than the gopis who witnessed the pastimes firsthand. The reason is, these gopis only have seen Krishna's pastimes, which are very sweet. And Mother Yashoda has heard the sweet pastimes of Krishna mixed with the love of the gopis. Her experience of Krishna's stealing activities is much higher. The lesson from here in our current context is, when a devotee speaks Krishna's pastimes with love, those glories of Krishna mixed with the devotee's love will enhance the flavor of the narrations, and that will have greater impact on the hearts of the hearers. And that's what Sukadeva Goswami is doing. Nigama kalpatar orgalitam phalam sukamukhadamrtadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the desire tree of all Vedic literatures. And naturally a ripened fruit is very sweet, very tasty. But when Sukadeva Goswami started narrating the sweet pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna appeared much more enchanting. Just like ripened fruit appears much tastier when a parrot bites it. Similarly, Krishna's pastimes, which are already nectarian, appeared more nectarian when Sukadeva Goswami narrated it. Right? Because there is love. So, when a devotee loves Krishna, and with that love he narrates the pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna appear much more beautiful. Okay? So, this is the first aspect of a good teacher of Shastra. He has love for Shastra, he has love for the philosophy presented by Shastra, he has love for all the pastimes presented in the Shastras, and that love is manifest when they are speaking. Right? So, first aspect of a good teacher. Second aspect, second quality is eagerness. So, devotees are very eager to glorify Krishna. One's love in the heart is expressed through the words. Okay? So, when a devotee carries so much love for Krishna, and when he is speaking the glories of Krishna in a class, so that eagerness to glorify Krishna will have a great impact on the audience. So therefore we need to first cultivate love for Krishna, not Krishna from a very high stage, but at our sadhaka stage also we can develop some appreciation, some affection, some love for Krishna. When we develop that liking and that relationship with the Shastra, with the pastimes of Krishna, with the slokas of the scriptures, with the characters of the scriptures, with the prayers of the scriptures, and when we start speaking, that will have a great impact on the audience. Okay? So we should be eager to glorify. Uddhava is very eager to glorify. Then even our Sutta Goswami is also very pure. He is dedicated to the Lord. So when with the dedication he is speaking eagerly the glories of the Lord, that naturally attracts the attention of the audience. Then third quality is compassion. Third quality of a speaker of Shastra is compassion. The one who reminds people about their forgotten relationship with Krishna and teaches the process by which one can revive that relationship is greatly compassionate. Yesterday we were discussing in Bhagavatam class. In Srimad Bhagavatam there are 12 cantos, and 10th canto is considered to be the cream of Bhagavatam, the essence. And in the 10th canto the most enchanting episode is Rasa Panchadhyaya. Five chapters of 10th canto, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. In this Rasa Panchadhyaya, the middle chapter, 31st chapter is Gopi Gita. It has 19 shlokas. In that 19 slokas, the middle sloka is 9th sloka. In that sloka, the gopis of Vrindavan are glorifying speakers of Bhagavata. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Those who are broadcasting the glories of Krishna by speaking Shastra, they are the most benevolent benefactors. They are the most compassionate custodians of the entire universe. So, speaking Shastra, teaching Shastra, preaching Krishna consciousness to people is an act of compassion. And that compassion comes from Krishna, and we are carriers of compassion. We are instruments of compassion. We are transmitters of compassion. That compassion came to me, let me be transparently transmitting that compassion to others. That should be the mood of a teacher, right? It's not that I am showing compassion, out of my causeless mercy I am giving this class to you. That's not the mood of a teacher, right? Krishna is causelessly merciful upon me also, and utilizing my tongue to glorify him, and you happen to be there, and it's Krishna's grace that is falling upon you, and I'm just a carrier, I'm just an instrument. That should be the mood. When Prabhupada was going to the Western countries, you know what he said? Srimad Bhagavatam is traveling to the West, and I'm a humble menial servant accompanying Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So Bhagavatam is going to the West. Prabhupada is not saying I'm going to the West. Bhagavatam is going to the West, and Bhagavatam is carrying me, right? I also got a seat. So, a devotee is a transmitter of compassion, not originator. Then fourth quality of a teacher, transparent transmission and honest representation. So let's be transparent in our transmission. There is the sloka. Kasmayena vibhasito yamatulo gnana pradipah pura tadrupena chanaradaya buddhaye krishnaya tadrupina Yogindraya tadatmanatha bhagavadrataya karunyata tatshuddham vimalam vishokam amritam satyam param dhimahi kasmayena vibhasito yamatulo. In the beginning of the creation, the Supreme Lord Krishna has given this Bhagavatam knowledge to Brahma. And through Brahma, the Lord spoke this Bhagavatam to Narada Muni. Through Narada Muni, it's Krishna only who spoke Bhagavatam to Vyasadeva, and through Vyasadeva he spoke Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. Through Sukadeva Goswami he only spoke Bhagavatam to the sages of this Parikshit Maharaj and Suta Goswami. Like that, in this great transcendental parampara, whether Krishna is speaking or Brahma is speaking or Narada Muni is speaking or Vyasadeva is speaking or Sukadeva Goswami is speaking or Suta Goswami is speaking or any of us are speaking, if we are speaking what Krishna is speaking, it is Krishna who is speaking, not we, right? So, the transcendental teachings of Krishna are transparently transmitted through this parampara, through these great teachers for our transformation. So, therefore, we need to be honest in our representation. We need to be transparent in our presentation. So, what do you mean by transparency? If you have to be transparent, you just repeat things as it is, and people are unable to take it, right? You just speak 100 Sanskrit slokas. One day I got a feedback in my Bhagavatam class. He said, if you speak in English, I will come. If you speak in Sanskrit, I cannot. In Vrindavan, I gave my Bhagavatam class, and one devotee said, Beach you just said that English, na? You should have removed that also. You speak only Sanskrit. I was quoting many shlokas. Right? Means transparent transmission does not mean you just repeat things as it is, not knowing the bandwidth of the audience. Of course, you should have your own flavor also. Your own liking also should come. But point is that we need to try to make the subject matter relevant and digestible and relatable to the audience also. So when you say transparency, that does not mean you verbatim transmit it. You preserve the essence of the Shastra, essence of the message, essential message has to be transmitted, but it can be presented in a more interesting manner. That's what Prabhupada says. Whenever great devotees are speaking Bhagavatam in a pure, transparent manner, free from any type of concoction, it is to be understood that Krishna himself is speaking through them. Okay? But we need to make the subject matter more relevant. I'll come to that a little later. But you see this. Ramanandara and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were conversing at Vidyanagar on the bank of Godavari. And Mahaprabhu, the supreme teacher, he is sitting there as a student. And Ramanandara is speaking. Different tattvas. He is speaking about Krishna tattva, Radha tattva, Rasa tattva, Prema tattva. He is speaking about different rasas. And the topmost rasa, he was speaking about Rasa Krida also. He is speaking about Krishna's qualities, Radharani's qualities. So many things he is speaking. But you know what is his mood? Mora jihva veena yantra tumi veena dhari. Tomara mana ye uthe tahai uchari. Mora jihva veena yantra. My tongue is just a veena, a musical instrument. Tumi veena dhari. Right, when a classical musician is sitting on the stage and then playing some veena, you glorify the veena or you glorify the musician, right? So instrument has its role to play, definitely, but it is the player of the instrument who is bringing out all the pleasant sounds from the instrument. Right? If you give me veena, I will do something or I will break the threads only. Right? I don't know how to play. Right? Let someone else who is an expert in playing, let them play. So the credit goes to him. Similarly, Ramananda is saying that my tongue is just like a veena and you are the player of veena. Whatever I am speaking is whatever is coming in your mind, in your heart. Whatever you wanted to hear, I am speaking that. So that is the mood in which a devotee speaks. I am a humble instrument in Krishna's hands. Krishna wants this message to be given to these people and is using me to transmit that message. I am like a messenger. Okay? Let me honestly represent him. We are a representative of Krishna, not a replacement for Krishna. We are a representative of Acharyas, not a replacement for Acharyas. So 10 Acharyas have given 10 commentaries, let me give 11th commentary. Okay, that's not the mood in which we speak or we write. The mood is, they have given commentary, let me repeat it. If you want, if needed, I may add some examples that are more relatable to the current audience. I may add some anecdotes, I may add some personal life incidents, or I may add some other perspectives to enhance the original message, right? So basically, whatever is our contribution in a Shastric presentation is supposed to be enhancing their contribution. It is supposed to be highlighting their contribution, their explanation. My explanation is a subservient of Acharya's explanation. That's the mode of a teacher. If my explanation is going away from the Acharya's explanation, we are not a bona fide teacher. If our explanation is in line with their explanation, is trying to highlight their explanation, it is trying to present their explanation in a more digestible, relatable, understandable format, then I am a good teacher, otherwise I am not. Right? We are not into concoction. In the name of creativity, in the name of innovation, we can't get into deviation. So how much is innovation? And where are we getting into deviation? We need to realize that. So this is the mood of one of a teacher. We are representatives and not replacements. And then fifth quality of a good teacher of Shastra is prayerfulness and dependence on the Lord. Let us be prayerful. Although one may be very eloquent and experienced, without the empowerment of Guru, without the empowerment of Acharyas, without the empowerment of Parampara and the Supreme Lord Himself, we cannot do anything. Therefore, we should offer prayers. We begin all our sessions with prayers to the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya. We offer prayers to Guru, Krishna and Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya. Namo Vishnupadaya. Right? So we begin with prayers. That's not a formality. Okay, this is the format in which you have to present. Begin with prayers. Yeah, this format is there, but it's not a formality only. It is a heartfelt prayer of a speaker to the Acharyas, to Parampara, to Krishna, to empower them to speak the right words to inspire the people whom we are addressing. Right? So, Sukadeva Goswami, before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, he also offered prayers in the 4th chapter of second canto. He said, my dear Lord, please decorate my words with the necessary potency to impress the heart of all these audiences with Krishna Prema. Right? There's a prayer offered by the speaker, by the teacher of Shastra, that he is a genuine well-wisher of the students, he is a genuine transmitter, honest and loyal transmitter of Acharya's teachings, right? So that prayerfulness and dependence are very much important for any teacher to present Shastra more effectively. Here you see, Dhruva is offering this prayer. Yesterday we discussed, right? Yontaha pravishya mama vachamimam prasuktam sanjeevayatyakila shaktidharaha swadhamna anyamscha hastacharana shravanatvagadien pranannamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam Yo antaha pravishya. My dear Lord, you have entered within me, my system. Now what is the context? Dhruva Maharaj did 6 months of tapasya and the Supreme Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him. And Dhruva spontaneously wanted to offer some prayers to the Lord. And because he is a 5-year-old child, he is not sufficiently experienced, he does not have eloquence, he does not know Sanskrit grammar to spontaneously compose prayers and offer to the Lord. Many devotees did that, but Dhruva could not do it. So Dhruva is in a very awkward situation. The Lord understood his embarrassing situation and picked up his conchal, Panchajanya conchal, and touched the forehead of Dhruva. Entire Vedic knowledge has been revealed to Dhruva on the spot. When we are able to understand something from Bhagavatam in our Shastric study, it's not by our effort. Yes, we have to put our effort, no doubt about it. But it is only by the grace of the Lord that we understand Him. Whatever little understanding that we have about the Lord is only by His grace. In Dhruva's case, the Lord revealed entire Vedic knowledge to him just by touching his conscience. Okay? So Dhruva immediately said that, Yo antaha pravishya, my dear Lord, you have entered within me. You have made your spiritual potency enter inside me. Antaha pravishya. Mama vacha mimam prasuktam. And you have awakened my power of speech. So far, my power of speech has been sleeping because I have not utilized my power of speech in your service. I have not glorified you with my words. My power of speech has been sleeping till now, but you have awakened it, right? And Swadhamna, by your own spiritual potency, Anyamscha hasta charana shravana tvagadin. It's not that you have awakened my power of speech only to glorify you. You have also awakened my other senses. Anyamscha, hasta, hands, shravana, ears, charana, feet, tvagadin, sense of touch. You have enlivened all my senses so that I can utilize all these senses in your service. Pranannamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. He offered obeisances. Many times when devotees are speaking Bhagavatam, before starting their session, they will speak this sloka also. May the Lord empower me to glorify Him. Okay. Then sixth important quality of a teacher is transferring the credit. You know what Prabhupada said? He translated Caitanya Charitamrita. At the end of his Caitanya Charitamrita translation, he says that if there is anything, any credit for my translation work, that should go to my Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is only by his desire I am glorifying Krishna, I am preaching here, I am writing here these books, right? This is being done only by his grace. If there is any credit, that belongs to my Guru. And he also said, credit belongs to my disciples also. American disciples who have helped me in proofreading the manuscript, editing the manuscript, printing the manuscript, publishing the manuscript, and distributing these books everywhere. He has given all credit to his Guru and his disciples. He did not take any credit. He even said that I don't have a great devotion. I am not a great devotee and I don't have great scholarship also. He is Bhaktivedanta Swami, but he is saying that I don't know Vedanta, I don't have Bhakti. That is his humility, right? And he is giving all credit to his Guru and his disciples. So a humble teacher or a preacher should maintain this mode of transferring the credit of one's teaching or preaching activities to Guru and Parampara and to other devotees who have supported him in the preaching, right? So here I see many devotees I'm interacting in the last 1 week or little more than that. So many devotees are expressing so much gratitude to some senior devotees who have brought them to bhakti, or who have trained them, who have been encouraging them and giving them guidance. So that gratitude is very, very inspiring. I must say it now. So Prabhupada also says that whatever preaching I have done, it's only by the grace of my Guru. Without the support, what can I preach? So a teacher of Shastra, a preacher of Shastra also should be in this mood of humbly, gratefully transferring credit to other Vaishnavas, not claiming credit for oneself, right? So, then, seventh aspect, seventh quality of a good teacher is loyalty. A good balance between loyalty and creativity. Being loyally creative. Yes, creativity has its scope. Innovation has its scope. Just few minutes back I was trying to make this point. I will just go elaborately now. So, preaching is not just parrot-like repetition of Shastra. It should have some realization associated with it. Just go to YouTube, find out some good, nicely viewed class of some Maharaj, some senior preacher, some senior devotee. Get a word-to-word transcription of it. Memorize it completely, right? Just totally by heart it and repeat it in your class. Does it work? Right? You may even imitate the accent of that great devotee also. Still it may not work. Why? It's not the words, it's also the heart that's making an impact, right? So they are speaking the same words with greater realization, and we may be much younger in our realization, not having that much maturity. When we say the same words, the words will not have similar impact because they should come from heart, not just from mouth. So realization is very important. Teaching is not just parrot-like repetition of Shastric statements. One should realize the subject and present the subject in an interesting manner. So for that you can refer to 1.4.1 purport. Prabhupada writes all this. He says, realization means to be able to assimilate the subject matter thoroughly and try to present the same subject according to the level of the audience. You must speak the same pastime to different audiences. Some are very new, some are totally new to Krishna consciousness, some are just beginners, some are experienced and seasoned devotees, sometimes children, sometimes youth, sometimes corporates, sometimes some other TV channels, right? So you may have different audiences where you have to present Krishna Katha. So an experienced teacher is one who is able to adapt to the circumstances, adapt to the audiences. We'll discuss about the methods of teaching in the afternoon. But adaptability is important, flexibility is important. But our flexibility and adaptability should not compromise our loyalty to the parampara. The essential message given by the scripture and the acharyas must be preserved, but you just package that in such a way that it is appealing to the audience that you are presenting. Preserve the essence, preserve the same message. Okay, let's not deviate from the original message, but make it interesting, right? So that's what is important. Like sometimes the mother has to give a medicine to a sick child. Child is not taking. Mother may put that same medicine in some sweet, in some sugar candy or some kind of food item that is of liking to the child, and then put it in the mouth of the child. Okay, so medicine went, food also went, but the form is different. An adult can take that medicine, all that is bitter, he understands, he has more intelligence. Child, although the child requires that medicine, child may not have the developed intelligence to understand that this medicine is necessary for recovering from a sickness. Child is suffering from sickness, but he is not taking medicine also. Mother has to cheat the child. Okay, mother has to package the medicine in such a way that the child can accept it. Similarly, we need to present the scriptural message in such a way that people can accept it. That should be appealing to them. That should be relatable to them. What's the point of giving rabidi to a newborn child when he cannot digest it? Right? You should give whatever is digestible to the kid. Okay? Similarly, we need to have the realization and adaptability in our presentation, not just repeating things as it is. Sometimes there is some sensitivities. In certain forums, you may have to restrict yourself from presenting certain hard philosophical facts, You need to be sensitive to the situation, sensitive to the audience also, right? So it's like doing surgery without giving anesthesia. We can't just begin a preaching program and start speaking about the hellish planets. As Sukadeva Goswami described in the 5th canto, 26th chapter, don't begin with Bhagavat cosmology, don't begin with hellish planets, don't begin with Rishabhadev's teachings. You know, you're wasting your human form of life. You can't begin preaching like that. I'll speak more techniques there in the evening, methods of teaching. So 8th quality, very important quality. All are important, but this is also important. Pure intent and pure content. Only these two things are there in our hand. Pure content and pure intent. And rest, Krishna will take care. Means that we may, when we are presenting Shastra, when we are teaching or preaching, authentic scriptures and bona fide acharyas' commentaries must be consulted. And we should assimilate them. We should equip ourselves with all these weapons of Acharya's teachings, right? Then we go out in the preaching field. Okay, it's a war against Maya. Okay, and why are we trying to fight against Maya? To protect innocent citizens, innocent conditioned souls, not necessarily arrogant people. Arrogant people are difficult to approach, but at least innocent people should not be mishandled by Maya, right? So we take all the weapons given by the acharyas, all the Bhagavatam slokas and pastimes and wisdom, we take all of that and then go out to fight with Maya and protect innocent conditioned souls and bring them closer to Krishna, to bring them under the shelter of Krishna. So we should have that pure intent and we should have that pure content. So pure intent also includes that by glorifying Krishna, I am purifying myself. So this preaching that I am doing, this teaching that I am doing, this class that I am giving is not just my compassionate act to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. It is compassion on my own self, to purify my own self. So we should also see a speaking opportunity, a preaching opportunity, a teaching opportunity as self-purification exercise. By glorifying Krishna, I am purifying my consciousness, right? And while doing so, I am also trying to help 10 other people, right? So we should have that pure intention to purify ourselves and to purify others also. Second, we should have the pure content coming from the Shastra, bona fide content, not some concocted masala, right? So we should have pure intent and pure content. That makes one a good teacher. And the transformation that happens in the audience that are attending our session is only by Krishna's grace. The credit goes to Krishna. Credit goes to Acharyas. So we cannot say, I have given Kanti Malas to 100 people. You must have given, fine, we can state it as a fact, but we cannot be proud of our preaching. We can be grateful for getting an opportunity to preach, right? So gratitude should come in the heart of a good teacher and not pride. We should be grateful to the audience, and Prabhupada also became very grateful to the audience whom he preached to. He made them into devotees. He said, I am very grateful to you for assisting me to take this Mahaprabhu's movement ahead. So a teacher, a humble teacher also is grateful to the audience, right? I'll come to that again. Then service and patience. So Prabhupada considered speaking Gita, spreading the knowledge of Gita as his dutiful service to Guru, and was patient enough to take all hardships to execute it. So when we are preaching, sometimes when we are teaching, sometimes the students may not be able to immediately grasp what we are getting, what we are trying to present. We should have patience, right? Especially those who are doing homeschooling, they will have more experience. They are teaching some other subject, but a young student, a new hearer may not be able to immediately grasp what you are trying to say. Okay, therefore we should have patience, and Rishabhadeva also emphasizes this teaching in his teachings to his sons. So when you are trying to inculcate spiritual wisdom to some people, don't become impatient or angry. Have some patience and do it as a service to the Lord. It is my service. One should not think that I am wasting my time. by trying to convince him that you are not body, you are soul. Okay? So it's an act of compassion which requires a lot of patience. So then we should be an essence seeker and essence giver. If we are essence seekers, then we can give essence. Yesterday we were discussing, right, when we are studying, we should be saragrahis, not bharavahis. We should not be burden carriers of so much of knowledge and information. We should be essence seekers. When we are essence seeking, we can give essence. Maitreya Muni is speaking Bhagavatam to Vidura. And Vidura said, Tadasya kausharava sharmadatur Hare kathameva kathasu saram Uddhrutya pushpebhya ivarta bandho Shivaya naha kirtaya tirtha kirteh Tadasya kausharava sharmadatur. O Kausharava Muni, O Maitreya Muni, you are Sharmadatur. You are the bestower of auspiciousness to everyone. Hare katham eva kathasu saram. Hari katha, the glorification of Lord Hari, is the essence of all topics. There may be hundreds of kathas. Katha means topic. Okay, discussions, narrations. There may be hundreds of topics to be discussed. Out of all the topics, the most essential topic to be discussed is Hari katha. Hare katham eva kathasu saram. Just like a bee goes into a garden and then is not getting distracted by all the flowers and trees and plants and gazebos and dustbins. Many other things are there in a garden, but a bee goes to that flower which has honey and then extracts the honey, not distracted by 10 different things. Similarly, a speaker of Shastra also should ensure that the audience get the essence of the scripture. Right? Hare kathameva kathasu saram uddhrutya pushpebhya ivarta bandho shivaya naha kirtaya tirtha kirtehe. Please glorify the Lord for our auspiciousness. Seek the essence and transmit the essence. So 11th character. I'll go a little quick, remaining 5 characters. So 11th is firm faith and solid conviction. To the degree we are convinced about the philosophy, to that degree we can convince others about the philosophy. Of course, although you are convinced, you may not be able to convince everyone. Be detached. It's okay, no problem. Right? You will doing book distribution, you may show the book to 100 people. Only 10 people may take it. That's fine. Right? Let's not be too ambitious. There should be ambitions, but we should also have intelligence while pursuing the ambitions. So when we have great conviction, we can convince others, but to the degree other people are affected by material nature, to that degree they may not be convinced by our most logical explanations also. Prahalad was able to bring a transformation in the hearts of his schoolmates, but he could never transform Shanda and Amarka. He could never transform Hiranyakashipu. Similarly, although we have pure intent, pure content, and we have all the other 10 qualities of a good teacher as we discussed in the last half an hour, okay, we may have all that, but still our preaching may not be effective when we are dealing with certain kind of audience. That's fine. Mahaprabhu tried to preach in Bengal. It didn't work. He went to South India. Prabhupada tried to preach in India. It didn't work. He went to West. Right? So it's not that if we have all these good qualities, we will be able to preach to anyone and everyone. It may not happen. So receptivity also should be there. So sound will not come. Then sound will come. Right? So they also should be able to receive. And that's where we realize that we are not the doers. Right? We are not the doers. So I am doing this so much, but why sound is not coming? That's not coming. So I am not the only doer. They are also doers. And why? Who is bringing this contact? Krishna is there. He is personally orchestrating this whole scene. Right? So Krishna is there in your heart as Paramatma. He is inspiring to speak the right words. And Krishna is there in others' heart also as Paramatma. He is inspiring them to accept those words. Right? In reciprocation to their sincerity. So we cannot fail to acknowledge Krishna's intervention, divine intervention there. So the results that we get in our preaching are not only because of our efforts, our intelligence. Krishna's grace is there. Parampara's grace is there. And the person whom you are preaching to, their purity is also there. Sometimes you may preach to someone, they become more advanced in bhakti than you also. It happens sometimes, right? You bring someone to Krishna consciousness, you have given them kanti mala, you taught them how to wear dhoti kurta, you taught them how to wear tilak, okay? But they have become pure devotees, they have become acharyas, and we are making acharya in the kitchen. Right? It can just happen like that also. We should acknowledge that. You know what Prabhupada said in the 4th canto purports? He said that by the strength of the purity of one of my disciples, I aspire to go back to Godhead. Right? Just like Suniti Mata, she inspired Dhruva to perform bhakti. And Dhruva is just going to the spiritual world after 36,000 years. Vaikuntha airplane came to Bhadraka Ashram to take Dhruva to the spiritual world. Then suddenly Dhruva felt, my dear Lord, how can I come to Vaikuntha without my mother? She is the one who has inspired me to practice bhakti. He was about to jump from the airplane down to take his mother. Then knowing his intentions, Nanda and Sananda, the Vaikuntha carriers, Vaikuntha attendants, they told Dhruva, see, there is another airplane that's taking your mother. Then Dhruva felt comfortable and he sat peacefully in the Vaikuntha airplane. That is his gratitude. In that context, Prabhupada says, although Suniti has not done austerities like Dhruva has done for 6 months, still she is going to back to Godhead for giving birth to such a wonderful son. So we need to understand that although we are teaching Shastra, although we are preaching, we are connecting devotees to Krishna consciousness, they themselves also have some glory because of which they are advancing in bhakti. We cannot take all the credit of our preaching for ourselves, thinking that I have sent 10 people back to Godhead. Right? I have sent 100 people back to Godhead. In Vaikuntha or Goloka, there may be some 100 people are standing there. Who will enter? Who will enter? Right? And many people are entering. You may be preaching to them also. Then your turn comes. You ask, okay, when am I going inside? They will say, not now, after 10 lifetimes. I have made 100 people into devotees. Then they will say, you have forgotten to make one person as a devotee. Yourself. Yourself. First purify yourself. Give up this arrogance. Give up this pride. Okay, then you come back. We'll take you in. Okay. So, we may teach 100 people or 1,000 people, but the credit of teaching goes to Acharyas, Parampara, Guru, Krishna, Vaishnavas, and the students themselves. Unless they have the receptivity, how can we preach? Right? It's like, have you ever gone to a preaching program where you're trying to quote from Shastra and you have made a wonderful PowerPoint presentation, you are completely prepared with all analogies, examples, anecdotes, real life incidents, you are fully equipped to present and they are thoroughly spaced out. They are looking through you, not looking at you. Right? They are looking through you, they are able to see what's there behind you also. They are just staring like this. Okay? No impact. Right? Although you are fully prepared. And sometimes you are totally unprepared. They told you, speak something. You went and then blabbered something and came out. And after 5 months, someone comes and says, Prabhu, that day you gave that presentation, that changed my life. I'm so spaced out while speaking that. You realize that, okay? So sometimes you are so unprepared that had a great impact on the consciousness of someone. And you are extremely prepared, fully prepared, that didn't have any impact on others. What is that? That's meant to make us realize that we are not the doers. Krishna is inspiring people to come closer to him, and Krishna is using us as an instrument in his hands, and we should be grateful for that opportunity and not claim credit for it. Okay? So that's very important. We should not claim credit. So I think I'll complete other things later. It's 12:45. We'll take some questions based on what we discussed about the mood of teaching Shastra. Teaching or preaching, whatever. So we'll take some questions. I'll continue. I'll be able to complete. No problem. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu. Ravi Prabhu, right?
What are the symptoms of pride?
Yes. What are the symptoms of pride in our preaching efforts? I would say we need to first introspect within ourselves Am I being too greedy and eager to take credit for my preaching activities? Either in my thoughts or words, expressions or actions, am I saying that I am the teacher, I have brought them. Sometimes you may have to state some facts. As far as giving information is concerned, you are stating that I taught them is fine. But is there any sense of accomplishment or some mood of doership associated with it? So we need to evaluate ourselves. And we should also once in a while take some feedback from other devotees, right? So are you seeing some pride in me for doing whatever service I am doing, whether it is preaching or teaching? You can give that liberty to other devotees to evaluate yourself and then take some genuine feedback. And one more visible symptom is possessiveness. Right? When we teach some people or preach some people and bring them to bhakti, are we being possessive about them? Are we considering them as Prabhupada's people, Krishna's people, Mahaprabhu's people, or people of the temple, or my people? I have brought you. Unless I tell you, you cannot do this service. I cannot accept this service unless I tell you. When somebody is saying, Prabhu, we need some volunteers, we need some manpower, can you bring people from your place whom we are preaching to? Right? So how willing are we to give them? How possessive are we? So yes, you can care for them. But care and possessiveness are different. They may seem same. Sometimes in the name of giving care to people whom we are trying to cultivate, we may become too possessive about them. When they are trying to take inspiration from someone, when they are trying to take guidance from someone, are we feeling insecure? Are we feeling uncomfortable? Alright, whatever question you have, ask me, don't ask them. Are we saying that? Are we allowing them to take inspiration from them? All these are symptoms of pride and envy, insecurity and all that. Does it make sense? Okay. Yes, Patricia. Yeah, correct. Mataji is asking, we spoke about the qualities of a teacher. What about the qualities of audience whom we are addressing to? They should have some qualities. So, the 11th canto of Bhagavatam speaks about two types of people who do not worship Krishna. One is na bhajanti, second is avajananti. Na bhajanti means they don't worship Krishna. They don't worship Krishna. They don't worship Krishna out of ignorance. Avajananti means their category is they don't worship Krishna out of arrogance. Ignorant people are bona fide candidates for our preaching. Arrogant people, we may stay away from them, maintain some respectful distance from them, so that their arrogance does not demotivate us, does not discourage us, or does not disrupt our preaching efforts. So, Madhyamadhikari deals with people in 4 ways. You know, right? Prema, Maitri, Kripa, Upeksha. Prema, love is meant for the Lord. Maitri, friendship with other devotees. Kripa, compassion for innocent people. Upeksha, indifference or just maintaining distance from envious people. So, when we are trying to preach, we can select those people who are more receptive, okay, and preach more. This morning, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj was giving that class. One little child asked that question, right? So when we are doing book distribution, some people accept, some people don't accept. Then Maharaj said that it's okay, no problem. When we are showing books to people, some people are receptive. We are giving them, they're ignorant, but we are giving them an opportunity to take to Krishna. If some people are not accepting, fine, we'll move ahead, right? So Nabhajanti category, ignorant or innocent people are bona fide candidates. Arrogant people, they'll take more time. And also we need to understand our own bandwidth. Okay, so a 2nd standard student cannot solve a 10th standard problem. So when at our stage, our level of maturity and advancement in bhakti, who are the type of people I can preach to. We can select that. We may not be able to preach to certain category because of lack of experience or maturity. We may avoid. There's nothing wrong in it. We can be humble. We'll discuss all of that in the afternoon session. Okay, Matas. Any other question? Yes, Prabhu.
Harekrishna Prabhu. No, sometimes when we preach, we feel satisfied because of the effort we put in, plus the appreciation and recognition and participation from the audience. But how do we differentiate, that satisfaction versus pride? Because sometimes it can be very subtle. And the second part of the question is, sometimes when pride does come in, after delivering a preaching lecture or something, intentionally or unintentionally, how do we rectify that?
So it's nothing wrong in feeling happy and satisfied when your preaching efforts or any other service efforts become successful. So how do we not become proud and just stop at happiness and satisfaction only? Okay. So again, I refer to the answer that I have given to that Ravi Prabhu. So when it is pride, there is a sense of insecurity also when the people whom we are preaching to will look in different other directions. Okay. There is a sense of possessiveness in that pride. But when your preaching efforts are becoming successful, you are very happy. You are very happy to see them practice bhakti. You are very satisfied to see them take to the path of bhakti, reading Bhagavad Gita, worshipping Krishna. They are becoming more and more serious in bhakti. That should be the cause of our happiness. Let's try to make our happiness spiritual. Let's try to experience happiness on a spiritual plane, not on mental plane or intellectual plane or egoistic plane. That's even more harmful. So happiness can be experienced at multiple levels: bodily level, mental level, intellectual level, egoistic level, and spiritual level. When we are genuinely happy seeing people participating in kirtan, studying shastra nicely, worshipping Krishna, that's a happiness on spiritual level. Okay, but when we want to control them, when we want to be possessive about them, that's happiness at egoistic level. Like teaching is a Brahmanical activity. Okay, but one may do that Brahmanical activity in Kshatriya spirit also. Brahmana means teach and be detached. Kshatriya means control, expand one's influence. If while preaching, if I want to expand, my intention in speaking Shastra is to expand my influence, I am not a Brahmana, I am a Kshatriya at heart. By teaching, if I want to gain money, I am a Vaishya, I am not a Brahmana. Getting right? It's a mentality that matters. Okay? Are we doing a Brahmanical activity in a Kshatriya mentality or Vaishya mentality? We need to evaluate ourselves. Okay? And second thing that you mentioned?
If pride does come in, intentionally or
we need to keep ourselves in the association of devotees. They will check our pride. Right? When we are becoming proud, other devotees are there. They are empowered to purify us generally. Right? They will just pass one comment that they may ask some question we may not be able to answer. Our pride is gone. Okay? They may present a different perspective, some idea which we never got. We can become humbled. So before we are humiliated or humbled, if we ourselves choose to be humble, remain humble, that makes life easy. So basically being in the association of devotees will ensure a proper check and balance. We cannot become proud by our preaching efforts. And also we can see other devotees, how much effort they are putting, how nicely their preaching is flourishing. Once in a while, hearing the success stories of other devotees in their preaching will also keep us humble. Right? If we are becoming proud of our successful preaching, just look at a person who is more successful than us. We will automatically become humble. Okay.
Thank you. So probably this is point number 9, the service and patience that you mentioned. Sometime in the preaching unit, there are two parts that I would like to ask. Sometimes we find some time wasters. Means we are patiently, we are presenting the Shastra as it is, and then as per the norms. but they keep asking the same questions again and again. But so, should we continue to tell present or should we change?
When devotees are asking the same questions again and again, yes, we should have patience to deal with them, but we should also have intelligence to deal with them. We may ask them to ask the question to someone who is little younger than us, who is relatively having more time, so you can divert some questions to others. Right? Sometimes the temple president is there, he has to oversee 100 different things. He may just empower some younger manager, okay, you oversee these things. So we should learn the art of empowerment. When we are preaching and making more and more devotees, we should also know whom to empower for what. So we identify a few people who are very serious, make them in charges of some areas. Okay, you take care of this area, you take care of this area, you take care of this aspect of the service. Like that, if we empower people, and by making mistakes they will also grow. Right? And we can focus on other things to do. Right? So when you say patience, that does not mean we keep on doing that one thing only forever, whole life, that we don't expand more. When we are dealing too much with trivial things, we cannot think of bigger things, more important things. Right? We need to also expand. Otherwise, whole day, 24 hours will be spent in just dealing this 1 or 2, 3 problems only. Right? But we need to deal with bigger problems, higher problems, and we have bigger services also. So we should learn the art of empowerment. Those who are little more experienced, so they can take care of some services. That's how we can scale up. If we want to do everything on our own, then we cannot scale up. We should empower people. Some things are there, only we have to do. We can't outsource things. 16 rounds. You chant 4 rounds, you chant 4 rounds, you chant 4 rounds. Chant attentively, yeah? So we can't say that. So some things we have to do on our own. Some things we can outsource. Some things we can empower people to do.
And second part of the question is, sometimes we are present in Shastra, especially in the science of self-realization seminars in the start, that when it comes to who is God, and we have to present as it is. Now, and you have people coming in the start from various sects. For example, we had personal experience that they're from Shankarites. And then when it comes to the explanation of the tattvas, like Shiva tattva, so the glorification of Lord Shiva is there. We gave his position, Vaishnava, Shambhu, also gave some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, which Prabhupada also quotes very aptly, that even Mohini Murti came in Lord Shiva, spelled his semen, etc. And this person got so offended that how can you say about my Shiva? Now,
when we are presenting to common people where there are different types of audiences, we may have to be little sensitive in presenting about, especially some devatas. Calling them demigod offends some people nowadays, right?
Yes.
So now I start using the word devatas, no more demigod. When the books are going for reprint, I just Control F, demigod, replace with devata. Simple. Right? Use the Sanskrit word. That's what I'm doing. You see the editions change also. Sometimes people may feel very offended. Right? We have. That's what preaching is. We need to acknowledge their current situation and then present the Shastra. What is the point of feeding rabbit to newborn child? That's what I was saying right sometime back. Similarly, when we are preaching to some people, we need to acknowledge their current situation, current level of understanding, and slowly, gradually bring them to a higher understanding. Directly, if you start surgery without anesthesia, right? So then it's very painful to them, and they may become so upset that they will never come to Krishna consciousness. Okay. Acknowledge.
But the thing is, after that we feel, as a preacher, sometimes some of the Shastras we present as we feel guilt. How do you deal with that part?
We may be right in our presentation, but being sensitive to the situation of the person is more important than being right technically, right? So we may choose certain topics that are non-controversial, okay, when we are speaking to public gathering. But when it is close in devotees, we can speak a little more openly. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Ravi, Prabhu.
In the same context, when, as you said, we need to represent our language, like our And we have always seen, Prabhupada directly presenting Krishna consciousness. And he has also referred that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sometimes criticized for using chopping technique. And Prabhupada was also very straightforward. Like, he has used fools and rascals all the time.
Yes.
And when we present in an amicable way, in a harmonious way. But when they read the sections of books, then sometimes they get offended. And sometimes we lose some of them. Like Prabhu has just been mentioning about Lord Shiva. When we said the middle section is Bhakti Yoga, and they suddenly open the 7th chapter, and what they read is, Devatas and Prabhupada in his purport, right? Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are servants of Krishna. So sometimes when we are presenting, but they are getting information much ahead of their understanding. So how do we deal in such situations? Maybe that is come in the next session, or I don't know. And what should be the
to some degree it might come, but let me say a few words now also. Prabhupada once told that old people and children can do anything and get away with it. When an old person chastises, or when a child does some mischief, people may not take it so seriously. But you cannot follow or you cannot imitate Prabhupada there. Okay? Prabhupada may say fool and rascal. If you go to some scientific institution and say you are fools and rascals, okay, then prison closed. ISKCON is closed there. Okay, so we cannot imitate great souls, definitely. And also, Prabhupada also taught about sensitivity. Although Prabhupada is very bold in certain sections of his purports and in some forums, we should also see the other side of Prabhupada's personality, his demeanor. So just the book does not, only book is not sufficient. We should also see his personal dealings with other devotees and his private conversations and room conversations, all that we see. We'll get a full idea, bigger picture of Prabhupada's personality. So somebody came to Prabhupada, he's a racing car man. He's too much into racing. So Prabhupada has heard him for 25 minutes, 30 minutes like that. He's speaking what all races that he has participated, and at one point he said that while doing this car racing, I was about to die also, near death experience. Then Prabhupada picked up from there. After hearing half an hour patiently from this car racing person, Prabhupada said, oh, body is like car and driver is like soul. Okay, and near-death experience, we are different from the body, and he started giving our philosophy. So, Prabhupada also exhibited so much patience in his dealings with some people. He has heard them first before presenting. But in certain sessions, you will see him very strong also, but people may not get so offended because he's in 70s. But in 30s and 40s or 20s, we start saying like bashing people, then we'll have greater repercussions, right? So we need to present things as it is, no doubt, preserve the essence. But Prabhupada also mentioned in 1.4.1 purport that present them in an interesting manner, relatable manner, digestible manner, gradual manner. So that also is demonstrated by Prabhupada in his preaching activities. Right? We sometimes may see only few places or some prominent places where he has become very bold, very straightforward, very cutting, sadhu, chopping technique. But other techniques are also used by them. So we need to have a balance, and we need to understand our own bandwidth, our own maturity in presenting. Okay. But for that we also need some guidance from some senior preachers. What will work, what doesn't work. Okay. Makes sense, bro?